I don't think we'll get a copyright for this. I think we're safe. I think we're safe, JD. I think we're safe.
Facts. Facts. Yeah. Facts. We are
Nah,
good.
we are good. But guys, welcome back. We are back on a Friday. It's always going to be a Thursday or a Friday. You'll see me and JD on a platform chopping something up. Today, we are nearly at the end of the Copa America. We have our final set. Argentina versus Colombia is coming up on Sunday. Third place matchup, Uruguay versus Canada for the third place game. We want to talk a little bit about the CONCACAF teams, how we felt that they did. Guys, leave a comment down below. Give us your ratings, how you thought your CONCACAF team did, or how the CONCACAF teams overall fared and well. This is my distraction, JD, because as I was talking with my mate Nelson, we've come to the conclusion that we are going to be upset and not emotionally heartbroken when England plays like garbage for 85 minutes, and then someone will come on and they'll steal the game at the death, and then they'll come back and win. So I'm distracting myself from that reality because every round England's played in the Euros, I said, oh, this will be it. And they haven't. So let's talk Copa America so I can be in good spirits. JD, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. From in the morning, I was pretty much busy with the kid. I got up, completed a few of the actual sagas throughout the day, which is the Jamaica saga, and now we are here. So I'm pretty much excited for the actual stream. But I would say that I would have agreed with you, if it wasn't for Spain. I think that Spain will get the job done, but England will put up a good fight. That's what I would say.
And I was talking with my mate Nelson about this, and he brings up the point. Spain is the perfect opponent for how Southgate wants to play. Right? He will just sit back and defend, try to absorb. The Spain's best hope is that they just let Harry Kane score in the 6th minute. Just do it. Let England score early, and then watch Southgate say, "I can defend until the game is done," and then we will put our hopes in the feet of a 16-year-old Spanish boy with Moroccan parents and Equatorial Guinea parents, and say, "Hey, come and save us again, please." But hey, we'll touch the base with that if we have to at the end. But again, we're here to talk about Copa America. We had 6 CONCACAF teams come in. It's been a very interesting, especially when we look at the aftermath, JD. Like we've seen new coaches, we've seen old coaches being gone, we've seen deep runs, surprising results. I think as we start to wrap up this tournament, I think it's an easy answer to say who was your standout team. Some people might say, well, because Canada made it the furthest, they are the team that had the best tournament. But who do you think gained more out of this in terms of the CONCACAF teams? It could be Canada, or maybe it could be other teams that in terms of how they played and what they were doing.
Gain more, or the best performance was a little bit different, because you can gain more but performed at a lower level than Canada. I would say overall, based on how Canada set up, I thought that Canada really nipped it at the end. Surprising, I was impressed with Costa Rica as well. I think that throughout this tournament, Costa Rica would have gained the most. They started off with their World Cup qualifiers looking sharp, conceded none, and scored 7. And we were saying that, oh, maybe it is not technically they weren't as good. And it's just because it's a lot of smaller teams that they are playing, and they got a draw against Brazil, structured their team well, frustrated Brazil, and then they turn up to get a win. I would say that this tournament did a lot for them. They jumped back in the CONCACAF rankings, and I would assume that they would have jumped as well in the FIFA rankings. So I would say it's Costa Rica gain the most. The best performer would have to be Canada for me, because I saw them went toe-to-toe with Argentina and improved in the second game, without the same errors made. And with better finishing, again, they would have been closer in the game itself against the World Cup champion. So if that doesn't tell you that they have improved, I will wait until they meet a CONCACAF team to beat the brakes off them. Then people will give them the respect.
That's fair. I think the CONCACAF teams, it's again, I think who got the most, we can look at performances and play. I think every CONCACAF team had at least one portion of a game where you said, okay, this is the thing we've been waiting for, or this is them at their peak. Maybe they didn't have the result. I mean, Mexico didn't make it out of the group, but I mean, they were unlucky because they have one penalty save, they concede one goal, and they just couldn't hit the target on a lot of things. You could argue that for most CONCACAF teams, the issue was scoring goals against the South American teams. They had a lot of opportunities. They've had moments where they had build up and play, but then ultimately there is nothing to show for it. I mean, that was one of my criticisms with Canada and overall throughout this tournament. They created so many chances, but they had 2 goals to show for it. And so in that sense, it's tough to look at it. I think for me, I liked what I saw from Panama. I'm still questioning in terms of Panama what their ceiling is with their talent and with their coach. I still think they need, like, Carrasquilla is a good player, and I know he gets sent off in the US game. I know what he's trying to do. He just is late in reacting to do it. He's trying to slow up the play. But I think that team needs another 3 Carrasquillas before, just for a CONCACAF standpoint, before they can push teams, because they're not, I'd say they're more optimistic in terms of how they play. They aren't necessarily always pragmatic in terms of, hey, this team will have the ball and we're just going to play it that way. But I like what I saw from Panama being, yes, you beat the US a man down. Yes, you beat Bolivia. But ultimately, they had a good tournament. I don't think anyone saw Panama getting out of their group, right? If you had said, oh, there's a possibility that Canada can maybe beat Chile, maybe beat Peru, and you say, okay, I don't think it's likely, but I can see a pathway. Panama against the US at home versus US away, you would have said, well, then the US is winning that because home field is what they do. And so Panama, I think, definitely had better performance. But then if you look at the other CONCACAF team, Costa Rica, a 0-0 draw against Brazil, is a good performance. I've been re-educated by my friend Nelson, who has told me to stop hating on Brazilians so hard. They played well, just maybe the overall standard of refereeing hasn't been where it is. But they played well. And then Jamaica, I will always go back to the Ecuador game. The first 25 minutes of the second half of the Ecuador game was the best I saw Jamaica play in the last 2 years. And I mean, we're probably not going to see that replicated just because you have a different coach, or maybe a new coach comes in and that changes. But for me, I think Panama playing how they did, it doesn't outrank what Canada did, because I think some people may have seen a pathway for the Canada to get out of the group. I don't know if many would have seen Panama get out of the same group as well. So I think in terms of performances, I will slightly tip my hat to Panama. Canada still, once they got to the quarterfinal round, I said, it's now you're playing a new game. You can play. They looked very good against Venezuela. So, I mean, for 5 games in, I saw a peak potential of this group. But I think that was also the peak of this team because squad rotation with Marsh and whatnot. I think he ran the team a little bit too much, but it's his first camp. Everything I was doing was playing with house money at that point. So I think that's where I would put it in, but I am willing to look it up and go. I think of performances, I'm not necessarily more impressed, but I think Panama will give the edge in terms of their play and like how far they did. I mean, Canada takes that because they made the semis, but I think Panama getting out of the group, how they did, I think it's a little bit more interesting.
So the reason why you give Panama the edge is to say that even because you've cancelled out the fact that Panama had a player got red carded early on in the USA game, so it helped them out. But also the same thing applied for Canada twice in a row. But based off just that Panama doesn't have the extra resources as Costa Rica and Canada, that's the reason why you put them so high. Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to put everything together,
No,
and
no, yeah.
I could see where you're coming from, because this Costa Rica team is very, very good. A lot of young talents that people not paying attention to, because
Mhm,
Jalen Mitchell is at Feyenoord at this
mhm.
point, and you have Ugalde. Ugalde signed in Russia as well after doing some very, very good thing. So they have a lot of players breaking through and going different places. You know that we have our players that
Yeah.
I've talked about, Brendan Aguilera and a lot more. So I can understand about the depth. So people should not be sleeping on um, Costa Rica. Costa Rica's
Mhm.
depth is growing rapid, and they are sending players worldwide at an astronomical speed. So I think that will definitely their World Cup hopes.
No, and I think watching a team like Costa Rica, to me, it's going to be, now that they're in these environments, how is the development path looking, right? Because you could send players overseas. If you send them to the wrong destinations, or if they choose the wrong destinations, then they enjoy what, a 9 month vacation, then they're back home. So development is key, and what we always say with development, it's never linear. Just because a player goes somewhere doesn't mean that they're going to succeed, in the same breath that just because a player starts at a lower level doesn't mean that they're going to fail. Development isn't linear. And I think for especially a team like Costa Rica, who they are a team that, as they're building their young players, I think maybe the next World Cup cycle, they might be an interesting side to look at in terms of players who are all built up in their prime, now getting their strides. Maybe they're all breaking into first teams wherever they are. And then they're coming back to CONCACAF as a unit who's played together at different Gold Cups and things like that. So I think Costa Rica is an interesting side to watch in terms of, I think, yes, we have the US, Mexico's, the uncomfortably sitting in third Canada's, but I think Costa Rica is going to be a side. And I mean, we watched this on the CONCACAF Council with you on 11 Yanks. Like, like CRC was always saying that. It's like, at the end of the day, Eddie always like, getting them this platform means now they have the opportunity to maybe, now generational wealth, generational opportunities change. So now you put them in these opportunities, it changes their lives completely. But now you have to take that hunger with you as well, right? Just because you get the
Yeah,
bag
facts.
doesn't mean you settle, you're good. Now the hunger comes, because that's where you see the teams that are always creating. Brazil has players coming. Not, we're not going to say just because they have the poverty, but the hunger of the game, and they always want to continue to build up to that standard. So I think Costa Rica will be an interesting side, kind of looking as they continue to grow and move in. I mean, we'll get to the two big dogs and their lack of coaches.
I like where this is going, because we have to give
Mhm,
people credit.
mhm,
So I think that was a good one. So people, please let me know who how you phrased it the last time. The best performer and the person that actually achieves the, like, gain the most out of
mhm.
this. So
Yeah.
I like how you phrase it. And that's the reason why I had looked at the Costa Rica point. You brought even the last one to say that some of these kids were already special, because Alcacer, I think obviously he's in Belgium now, so he doesn't need that extra publicity, because he's just one away from a big club, an extra super
Mhm,
big club. But it still put more light on a lot of these actual quality players that were actually performing. So that is the next side that I have to use to put on Costa Rica. But if you go for Panama based on the limited turnover of quality players to add to Carrasquilla, I could understand. You understand
mhm.
me? But Costa Rica, yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. So, guys, let's run through these comments here. I know we
Yes,
started the conversation.
definitely lose count. Definitely
Chris
lose
Corney
count.
saying who scores first wins the Euros. I think if England scores first, they are losing. I think if Spain scores first, England will do the thing where they just play terribly. But
Africans, stop having
that's
so much faith. Africans,
I
Spain
have
is
no.
not. Spain is not Netherlands. Spain is
It's
revolutionary. All
I'm not
right.
saying they're not, JD. I'm not saying they're not, but what I'm saying is I've seen a team who's looked ugly in basically the entire tournament and just pulled rabbits
I
out of hats all
understand.
the
I
time.
understand about history, but you see, mathematics of the tiki taka passes will pass them to death. All right.
It's
So
they, I
just
don't.
let me enjoy
I
it.
don't. I
You
want
know
to
what?
enjoy.
I'm going to stream that game, because I'm
JD, I
tired
don't.
of people telling me about
I
what's
want
going to happen. I am going to
JD.
be in live colors to show people what will happen.
Listen, 2021, I sat in a home with my uncles and all the friends came over. Like, we are rooting for them. Like, the way that they're playing, they're going to lose. And it paid me because I was a Sancho believer then. I saw Saka was my favorites. Raheem was still sterling on the pitch for some time, for a bit. After that, it went. But at the same time, I don't. The way that they're playing, they're going to do this, and it's going to annoy me, and that is fine.
All
But
right,
let's
guys,
move on.
keep on believing in that thing, because that's what a lot of people said the last time World Cup, England versus Spain, which is the ladies, and believe me, they got past the debt. Just as what I told people, and the same thing will happen again. You understand me? People stop being caught up. The teams that dominates England are actually Spanish. It's not England. All right. Yes, we have some good talents in England. Don't get me wrong, but Spain football is different level. IQ as well.
It is.
IQ people.
Yeah. Oh, JD, I love it. I love it. All right. Panama from Alger is the team that got the most out of this. Jam Up TV says Canada and Costa Rica. I can see that. In the know. Welcome to Bless Up Africans, JD. Good to see you as well. Here we go. Panama beat USA and Bolivia. I mean, Bolivia is the only side from CONMEBOL I think any of the CONCACAF teams entering could have said they have an advantage against. So I'm not trying to take away from them, but still the USA win is a big thing for them, and I think it's good. David J saying hello.
And Africans, not to cut you, but the Bolivia game proved that Panama might not be up to the highest level as well. It is solely down to the red card, hence why they won that game against the United States. You understand me? Because that was a back and forward game, But continue.
No, that's true. That's true. Know yourself. Good to know you too. It's nice to see you here. Gunnar, Jason, good to see you on the program again. I'll be seeing your comments come through. Jay, we expected a good performance from Canada, but Panama, I didn't expect them to win any game at all. And I think I saw them beating Bolivia, but just the other two games I didn't see them getting through, and that is fine. In terms of that, Kevon James, bless up, good to see you. Welch, there we go. Costa Rican was once in the front. They are now allowing a 227 born living in the U at Los Angeles to play the U. Yeah. So I think, hey, recruitment is not going to be from one space. You have to diversify always. So find the players, get them in early. Even if you don't, I always say this with dual nationals. Every conversation is a scratch off ticket, and one of them will hit. And you're not going to win $1 million all of them. But if you win a 500 here, a 500 there, 500 there, you can build yourself good enough while you continue to develop and go through as we go. England always finds a way to win. They've been doing that, which is why I say that. KD Wright says, I was disappointed on Jamaica. They could have done better than that.
We will get to that.
We'll get to that. We will definitely get to that.
And America as well, because America will not get let go of it today. They will be getting it. Yes.
They apparently will be okay. What is that voice, JD? I ask myself sometimes too, Jason, but then I just sit there and laugh because what else can you do? You just sit there and say, well, he's doing the thing again.
I'm very sorry, people, but sometimes I have to get passionate because I can't. And in 2024, that's why I respect Eminem. Eminem give the 2024 people a lesson that you can't cancel reality. So you see the IQ of the speed.
You know what's funny, JD? Your different tone changes. I might say like you've been hanging out with Pastor too much because you're trying to preach too much. You're like, and the days when we see the glory of the wing play, can I get a witness here? Yes. There we go. YouTube user, thank you for using your YouTube account. Greens Africans GD. I like the direction of the conversation. I would like to know your opinions on what can be done to improve the very poor referee situation in these competitions. Wow.
Referees. Okay, let me write
referees. In my opinion, refereeing is not going to be the problem with refereeing is this. Everyone has a standard of how they play. Every referee is going to play away. Now, if you take more and more away from the referees, it then becomes a game of I don't need everything going to VAR. I don't. But it's the way that the standard refereeing is going. It's almost as if they are reffing in a way to say, I don't want to make these decisions anymore. So let me just let it decide. Now, VAR has helped in some aspects because, hey, the spirit of the rule was, okay, what is offsides? We don't want people who are offsides to be scoring goals, or if a foul happens in the box, you want to review it. It's
Yeah.
gone to such an extreme point that we are now measuring blades of grass on computer generated screens to see if the wind was blowing at a southwest direction. Does that make the player now on sides because his long flowing hair was there? I think the standard refereeing has to be better in these types of competitions, but that means the standard refereeing has to be better at the local levels. Everything's a byproduct. It's not a trickle down, it's a build up. What is the standard? If you can reward good, I've seen terrible refs go to the World Cup and get opportunities, and I ask myself, why? So we're just failing upwards. I think the standard has to start locally, but that also means the referees need space to both succeed and fail. This has not been the worst refereeing I've seen at a tournament, but it's certainly top five, because every game felt very once. I didn't see a balanced game of the games that I watched. Now, maybe someone did, but I haven't seen yet a balanced game in the Copa America in terms of how the refereeing had been put on. So I think the problem for me is the first 5 minutes of every game are the standard of what the game is going to be. If the ref decide, and that's why I've always been one who says, I don't want my refs to be perfect. I want them to be consistent, because every ref is going to see things differently based off of how they understand it. So again, if, as ludicrous as the statement is, if I can punch a man in the 3rd minute and just be talked to, I expect to punch a man in an 83rd minute and just be talked to. If you don't want that in a game, officiate it, which is why I appreciate any game where it's just the first 10 minutes, ref is just yellow, yellow. We're not having this. We're going to play. Players will play within the limits that you let them play. The second that you let things flow and go, then it's, well, you didn't call, you gave me 1, 2, 3, now you give me yellow. The ref just has to set the standard from the get-go. And I didn't see that happening in these games. And because of that, the line of the gray area, so to speak, expanded so much. And then now you're in a situation where the first half, a player's walking off with their leg. And then in the second half, you're looked at, and then it's a yellow card because that it is. But that's my opinion on it. JD, I know you have thoughts on it. What would you say?
Yes. The first thing I would say, as it relates to the officiating, I think it could be viewed as kind of biased, because majority of the calls always go to to the South American teams. Obviously, you had calls when you had two Concacaf teams actually playing, but we could see that bias edging towards the South Americans.
Mhm.
But as it relates to referees in general, because we have covered a lot of tournaments, the AFCON over this region, the younger parts as well, referees are terrible. You get me? That is my motto. Referees are terrible. And I would agree with Africans to say that they need to cue the game a little bit more, because they are terrible. So let them stand on certain things and show up their mistakes a little bit more, rather than using the VAR to give them a way out majority of the times, because now they kind of stop calling things and just try to rely on the VAR to get the actual accurate decision, which I don't really respect, because even the other day in the Netherlands England game, that clearly he never saw it as a penalty. And I'm surprised when I'm rewatching a lot of other platforms. In England, they were saying it's soft on Hurricane. It's very much soft. That's what they're saying. But he never called it, but they call it back and force that one. You understand me? I think those moments have been taken away. That extra drive for the fan base have been really taken away from football. And maybe that's not helping football, because that build up that you would want, just let the referees them stay those ones as terrible as possible. Yes, I will take it, because in other games I'm watching in Africa, we don't have any VAR, and officiating is terrible, and you have to just work with it. You understand me? Yes. So those little ones that you clearly saw that it's in the heat of the moment. He saw it and he deems it as not a penalty, and he had to go back there to reset the overall event. Now, I I'm okay with the officiating being one side and staying consistent, not the flip over and bias to one side only. Make it stay terrible overall rather than just one flat outside. You get what I'm saying, Africans? So
Yeah.
not just one side. Let the calls them stay consistent. So perfect example. The handball for, was it Ecuador?
Yeah.
Ecuador, right?
Yeah.
Make the handball for Jamaica as well, then, if that's the case. If you're going to fix everything, because you sent him to VAR and he still never gave it to Jamaica as an handball. You understand me? So at the same time, make it stay as okay. Either referee state his decision or you enforce that decision. Then enforce it to be that call. Then so at least you get both of them correct or none of them correct. That's all I'm saying on that one. But
Yeah.
referees are terrible. That is one thing again. Count on me to say.
That is true. And I'm going to remind everyone, I've been telling JD to make that a shirt for the last 2 years. Terrible referees. Just as a Wemaxit brand, I'd buy two. I would buy the white one and the black one. So whenever you make that new merch, JD, just do it. I will purchase that merch.
Oh, you're okay. Yes, man. Don't worry yourself. I'm gonna I have a lot of new things coming. People, don't worry yourself. We will get it. Don't worry. Thanks for the support, Africans. Yes.
Not
Even
a
though
problem.
you let me. Yeah, but continue, Africans.
No, JD. No, no. We're on a Zoom call. I might as well just say, no, say the thing. Say the thing.
All right, come on. Let me continue. All right, let me continue, boss.
This man wants peace and then wants to stop on half. And okay, no, it's okay, JD. I appreciate. No. No, you did it.
It's you telling me that you want new merch when I never even invited any merch to anywhere.
I've been telling you to make that terrible call referee shirt for like 2 years, JD. Every time we're on, I've been saying it. This is nothing new. Well, let's go through this. Jason letting us know that JD's Luther King. That is true. He's been hanging out with Pastor too much. Too many morning streams with Pastor. Now he has his preaching cadence down. Soon he'll be talking about the book of Long Ball, chapter 2, verse 3. When you whiff the ball forward, you run after it. Thus saith the coach. I think that's a Jamaican standards translation. I think something like that. But here we go. Bam Sports TV comes in and says, I think the nature of officiating the game is dependent on the region. And I believe that causes a lot of controversy as the rules and calls are not consistent across the board. In which case, well, if there's a FIFA standard for every region has a standard for coaching, there should be a standard for what refereeing is. If you're bringing those refs together, I think that's where it helps. That's why I do like when you get to the World Cup and you have reffing teams that sometimes are together, but the ones that are put together from different regions, get them together, figure out this is a foul, this isn't a foul, this is what we're going to let fly, this is what, but don't test this because we will call this. Set the standard and you go from there. Chris Corney, the problem is that you have the luxury of VAR and it's still making bad decisions. I think the luxury of VAR, and that's the thing I don't always like. If a ref makes the call, when we grew up, I say this as if I'm very old or something, but like when we grew up, the ref would make a call and we would either say it was a terrible call, the ref's been bought, that's it. I miss that aspect of the game because when we're going to measure everything, it just feels as if the ref is waiting for something to happen to verify versus just calling it, this is a foul, that's it. I'd rather have a ref call a penalty and then change it than for a ref not to call it and then get called a VAR. That's why VAR is there for it. But I need my ref to be confident to make a decision. That's all I want. I want my ref to be confident to make a decision and to have some conviction in that call and to live with that. Because without it, it's just, if I do this and that. You're the ref. You are the only person who's going to dictate how this game is played because you have the power to change it with a whistle or a card or a direction. So do that and call it and be confident in everything you have. The refs at Copa didn't want to see the match end 6v6. It would have been exciting. Could you imagine when like one team has a back line and a midfielder and a goalie and the other team has 3 strikers, a center back and a wing back? It would have been great. It would have been great. I also don't appreciate too much the application of VR. I think European interpretation is different from CONCACAF and maybe Africa, which causes loads of confusion. Not everyone also has access to it, right? That was the whole conversation we had with World Cup qualifiers in CONCACAF, where there wasn't CONCACAF, there wasn't VR available. And then when we got to the new year, they said VR is going to be available for it. And for me personally, I hated the decision because now you could have changed it. Just stay consistent with it. If that's the case, then let the refs decide this is going to be a foul, this won't be a foul, have it run through. Either as a federation, make sure everyone has access to the tools so that everyone can have it, or not everyone can have it, then we're not going to have it. The refs are making the decisions. They make and break. If there's a ref who likes to give cards early, you know this. You know the referees that are coming to the games. So plan accordingly. It adds to the tactics of the game. Some refs let you play a little bit more physically. Other refs, the second you call a jersey, you're calling it and you're saying that's one. And then you go. It kind of loses the balance and the joy of the game. And I miss that overall. So that's good to go. Stephen Jordan, good to see you, man. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Okay, JD, when South American refs officiate CONCACAF games, they are very poor, even when South American teams are not involved. I think we should try Europe for European refs to see if there is a difference. But if we try for European refs, counterpoint, how do our CONCACAF refs get better? Right? You need a platform to play. At the end of the day, you need a platform for them to apply their trade. The same way that you'll say, hey, you try a player in the first team to see what their level is and how they can continue to improve. Where the question is, are we keeping the standard of what you need to graduate to that level? Right? Just because I've walked through a referee camp doesn't mean I should be refereeing a game somewhere, right? The standard needs to be improved, in my opinion, and I think that's where the conversation has to kind of go for that. And we'll go. Steph comes here. Then that non-call was correct post game. Is somehow Concacaf were the most aggressive of the actions in Copa. Yes, I mean there are a lot of aggressive. It seems that most of the Concacaf teams got most of the fouls in there, and that's the problem with it, right? If if you're gonna complain and say, "Hey, the game is rigged," or the refs are calling it one side, you open the door for it as the more poorly you officiate games, and that's what happened here. If everything was good, but then CONCACAF teams are still losing, that's fine. But the fact that it was so inconsistently bad, now you're opening the doors for conversations to say, so your refs were bought too? Cool. You bought our pitch, and now you're buying everything. But we'll go from there, JD. I know you have something to say on that, so I'll let you hop in there.
I'm cool. I will just say majority of the referees, as what I've said, definitely bias, and maybe the changing of refs from the different regions to come over here. And you had said that, oh, they're going to learn. Oh, you learn in life is to actually make yourself better in your preparation, and then you earned that spot. So you have to go and officiate some U17 games, which they are trash as well. Not the players, not the games are trash, the referees are trash down at U17. So that's where they need to go and get their experience before they come up here. So I would agree with BAM Sports and getting qualified people to get the job done. I actually would agree with him on that side. I'm not going to reward people for failure. If you're not good enough, you ain't getting any job. You get me? You go and find somewhere else to get it. But let me jump on this one, guys. If you're over on Africans platform, please do hit the like button, subscribe, get Africans to 1,000 subscribers. And if you're over Wemaxit, you support it just the same by hitting the like button and subscribe as well. All right, yeah, man. So we have a lot of things on the actual books. All right, so go through the comments, them Africans. Let me get into the meat of the matter, because we have Burhalter looking for the Jamaica job. I was just looking at something. I never said that's true, but I just said that might be a thing. All right, Hallgrimsson sold out Jamaica for
your enemies would laugh at you.
Of silver.
Your enemies would laugh at you. Your enemies. Look, let's go to that. So Jamaica and the US, after their performances, they lose their coaches, or their coaches lose them, or they are now coachless, right? Something happened. The Facebook relationship status went to it's complicated, then it went to single, and then now everyone is trying to figure out what the next thing to do is. I know, like, it's interesting from the outside looking in, because for me, I look at that and think to myself, okay, stylistically,
Are we going to dissect one or go into both? Because we have to
let's
dissect
go.
one.
Choose
Yes, man.
one.
Let me
Choose your
start with
adventure, JD. Choose
United
your.
States.
Okay,
Let me start United
America.
States. Um,
Everything's free in
the
America.
big question to ask is it that United States is their taste is way too high, or you truly believe that they have that luxury of a good good flock of players to deserve more? That's my question to you. All right. I
So
think that is the perfect thing set up there. What you think, and people in the chat, what you think, because some people stated that they think that United States is acting like they're a big team in world football, and their expectation is way too high. And some people saying no, 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 no. The fans are more educated. This is at least what we deserve to come out of the group stage. Go ahead, big boss.
I'm going to say this because I've always kind of looked at two particular teams in the same breath, and I'm going to say it this way. The US to me is England. Southgate and Burhalter to me are the same coach. The only difference is, and Burhalter hasn't done anything at the international level yet, right? He's won gold cups, yes. That speaks to the region, and that speaks also to the depth of the US. He's won Nations League. That's 2 wins versus Mexico, 1 win versus Canada in their finals. But Burhalter and Southgate to me are similar in the sense that they have teams that their fans view as ultra talented to be playing an up and down passing style type of a game to go through. And this is the whole comment that we made about them versus Panama. I said, if he thinks that Panama isn't a problem, they'll be fine. Well, the other way around, that they would struggle. But if he prepares for Panama and tries to move, that's where the problem is. So to me, Southgate and Berhalter are coaches that have a lot of talent on their benches, according to their fans. But the difference is Southgate's failures are getting to the semis of the World Cup in 18, getting to the finals of 2 Euros, playing a style that most of their fans would say, why are we doing this? But he's gotten results. At the end of the day, he has gotten results. For the US, do they have talent? Yes. Do they have the most talent in the region? I would say, based off performance and results, off of results that they've had recently in major tournaments, yes. There's a disconnect in terms of
Yeah.
style of play and players. I think from the fan standpoint, and again, I mean, we see Pete, we see uh, Filippo talking about the style and what they have. I think for me, they are a side that aren't matching the squad. And I think that has always been the problem. But in the same breath, they still have had results here. I'm not a Berhalter defender. As a CONCACAF person, the more Berhalter's with the US, I think that holds them closer to the rest of the teams. I think their talent is
Okay.
better, but I think Berhalter has held them closer to the Mexicos, who isn't having the strongest generation, to the emergence of a Canada who are top heavy but don't have the depth. And if Jamaica ever shopped at their high-end grocery store and got a good end chef and a good end produce to have good food in the weekend, they would be closer to that. But I
Okay.
think for the US standpoint, it's matching what their fans see as who their player pool is, and they see where they are playing, what they are doing, with a coach who isn't pragmatic. Like, I've made the comparison to Southgate, but realistically, he's closer to Christensen, Berhalter is, in terms of he's going to play his style, and the region knows that style, and the region can defend that style, and you have players who on paper should be doing well. I think most fans will be happy for him to be gone, but at the end of the day, I think it's a conversation of we've blamed the coach because we've seen the deficiencies. That is fine. At some point, I think we have to have a conversation about you players have wanted this coach. You players have got this coach to come back, and you players have not delivered. So, yes, Burhalter is holding them back. No one's denying that. I'm not denying that, at least. But for me, you guys wanted this. You guys brought him back. So to me, it's a conversation where that's why I think the Southgate on the international level, people always say, oh, Southgate, and you always see Americans say that Southgate and Berhalter are the same. They have talented teams, but then their style doesn't give them the best play. On the flip side, Berhalter to me is a coach who's always going to play a certain style. And once you figure that out, doesn't matter what talent you have on the pitch, it can be defended, it can be exploited, right? You'll have moments of brilliance from players, and I think it's a damning statement that the best I've seen the U.S. play is when they had the assistant to the assistant playing that Nations League, BJ Callahan. He came in, when they beat Canada in Nations League, it was just like, oh, this is what you guys have been talking about, what you guys wanted. Okay. That's that. I see the vision now. I see it, right? But he's gone. All the assistants are gone, and so to me, it's a conversation of, well, I think their fans see their team's talent, and it is talented. There's no doubt. I think the coach has gotten results versus everyone, and in many ways, I like how Felipe always says this when he says. Ferreira is the Pirates of the Caribbean. He only scores against Caribbean low-ranking CONCACAF teams. When he faces a big team, where is he to be found? And that's them in a nutshell. He's not good at beating teams that are better than him because he doesn't prepare for them always. Brazil game is a good example. He prepared for Brazil, right? He prepared for Brazil, and they were able to get a draw to that. That's not hard. And why did we get to that point? Because he tried to play a style from passing from the back
and
two center backs, and Colombia was like, "Really? Them? Okay, we'll pressure 5-1." Right? So to me, that's where I think the conversation is interesting. Where do they go from there? I don't know. I really don't. I know there's a lot of fancy names that are attached to him. But for them, they need to find a coach that can walk in and can demand respect from the players because the players wanted Berhalter. But then that coach also has to be able to sell the players on the idea of, I am going to put you in the best position to succeed in this 11. Right? Do they need to have a conversation based off of players in form come in? No, because they've been more so picking that more recently than anything. Every coach has their favorite, so I'm not as concerned with that. But I think they are a team that on paper their fans say has more, but you have a coach who isn't really getting the most out of that. And I think that's on the players for wanting that, but it's also on the federation for getting that because we've seen how he got the job in the first place. I can go on for circles talking about nothing here, but I think we can go. JD, jump in here, man.
I thought that you hit some very much fair points. I've asked the question about, is it that they're overrated because maybe their expectations are not really, you can't achieve it. But I would agree with you. I think that they are a world level team, not just a CONCACAF level team. With a good coach, they can put almost anybody under the sword because we saw them covered even with the same Burhalter at the World Cup. So you clearly see that they have the potential, but they just need someone with that right remedy to get the best out of them and get the consistency as well. And they could be dangerous. And also, you touch a good point. Some of these players have to turn up as well because sometimes they keep beating on the half good CONCACAF teams. and then believe that everything is okay. And once they have to come out of their own element or step up to a next level, so coming out of their own element, have to go to Panama, Colombia, not Panama, Trinidad, Costa Rica, they just got battered at those locations, so they don't travel well. And anytime they do step up to that level, and it's not like a big competition where you can't hide, they seems to find ways to hide. So like the Brazils, the Netherlands, the Germany, the Colombia, they get backs down. So that's why I had my belief to say that if Panama can keep it close, it's always possible, because we had a show talking about this, to say that who is going through either Panama or United States, and it was solely based off their travels, and that's what people had the conversation on. So I knew that you said it earlier on to say that nobody expected Panama to go in over United States, and I'm saying Africans, we had said it all comes down to how they started. So that tells me that it has nothing to do so much with the coach only. It has to do with a combination, because these players prove that once things start to go bad, they seems to can't recover more than anything else. And that's what we saw away games. That's what we saw when they stepped up, because they always seems to go behind first, and now you have to dig deep in order to come rally back. And obviously the coach is on the side changing tactics, changing players, but you're just not getting the boost because you're not playing at home, comfortable in your elements and ready to beat down on some CONCACAF teams. So in theory, you should be very good world level, but the combination between the coach and the actual players, them not stepping up, seems to not living up to the hype. So in theory, they should have the squad to compete with world level. But in practical, I don't think that's the case. And it's a combination between the coach and also the players. So I agree with Africans fully to say that you have to have a coach that commands the respect. So you're not going to give me no 50%. You're going to give me 100%. So you're going to give the CONCACAF teams 25-0 every game. You understand me? So you can give the big teams 4-0 and 3-0 or a 2-1 win. You can't drop off. No 1-0 scrape over Panama. Then you get 7-0 from Argentina, 5-0 from Colombia. That's what you're going to get if you're not consistent in your attitude. And you saw Weston McKennie easing bars before games. You ain't going to win nothing. You get me? Because you ain't taking this thing serious, man. Straight up.
They are a side that I find that they're not a soft side, but adversity is easy to overcome them, right? They aren't a side that I find that if they're down by a couple of goals, that they can dig in and then come through that. And that comes to, again, look at their record with this coach, home and away, right? Home, it's just like win, 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 win. Away, we saw it in World Cup qualifiers. Teams they dog walked at home, they go over there, and then it's just, oh no, what
lose
do we do?
1-0.
What do we do? Like, and this team, and that I think comes to a coach, and a coach will always a team will always reflect the image of the coach sometimes, right? You'll see pieces of it, right? For example, we saw that with Herdman. Herdman is a fiery person. Herdman is a player who's going to ask. Herdman is going to get you to run through a wall for you. That's who he is. Now, where that becomes a problem with Herdman is where we're seeing with him in TFC, with even though there's injuries, at some point, what is the fine line between just that commitment to run through a wall, but then also harnessing that? And not everyone can do this. The U.S. team has just felt like a team that has a lot of potential, but no one's been able to tap into that, I'd say, that level of just passion and that desire to really run through a wall. I've not seen it from them. Yes, I know we've seen videos of him behind the scenes where he's trying to motivate the team, and I look at myself and I say, I would have done a better job, but that's just me. That I'm that person on most days. But they seem like a side that needs to just go on a world tour and just play everyone with fans who just don't like them, and then they need tougher skin, it feels like, as players. And maybe that's the coach that can instill that into them. but they as a side just feel like a side that is just there. And when things are going great, they're good. But when things aren't going well, it's easy to bury them. And it's a concern, especially for a team that's talented, because if you don't have that drive to push through, passion and desire are going to outweigh talent 9 times out of 10 if they're equal and you're in a bad situation. And I think that will always rear its head. It won't always come out that way, but it'll always rear its head in a way that will put you at a disadvantage or an advantage. So I think I like what you said there. Respect comes a long way, but it also goes both ways. As players, I think they need a coach that's going to demand from them, but then they need them to buy into that system and what they're trying to do. And I think until they're able to do that, they're going to be a team that is just they have talent on paper, but we may not ever see its full manifestation until it turns into a situation of what are they going to do? It's a mentality problem, right? You can say the same thing about it's the same conversation with Jamaica, Jamaica versus Ecuador. The best that team looked to me in the last 2 years was those first 20 minutes of the second half where it felt like Antonio said, I'm done with this. I'm going to touch this ball and we're going to build this up. And then it just looked like, okay, this is pride. This is now pride. Then the team looked like, okay, now we're playing because we're not thinking. We're playing because we don't want to embarrass ourselves here. But now we're playing because this is how we play. Where is that passion? Or where is that coach? Or where is that level in these players? Where the switch goes off and says, look, I'm not going to, at this point, I know who's watching me. The world is watching. We aren't going to embarrass ourselves. We represent this shirt, this country, all this thing. We need to do that. And I think that is something they need to turn into. They need a coach who can tap into that, because they have talented players. And you could say the same thing about Jamaica. Jamaica has talent on their roster. On paper, we always say this, they have access to talent. But as I always say to my friends, just because you have the finest grocery store, you don't get credit for not going there. Just because you have a great gym, you don't get credit for not going there. Just because you live with weights in your home, you don't get credit for owning weights. You get credit for using them. You don't get credit for owning them. So having access to that means, okay, that's the first step. Now do something with it, right? And I think that's where it comes to the conversation of the U.S., and it kind of follows in, and we can flow that into the Jamaica conversation as well.
Not. Let me close up the United States before we flow into it, because I had a few more questions. To ask. But I kind of scratched out the first one, because even though they have been dominant to somewhat in CONCACAF, they still end up not winning the World Cup qualifiers. So it clearly tells you that because you have to come out of your element, it never actually worked for you. So that is a mentality issue just the same, maybe a coaching issue as well, just the same, and a respect level as well. So all three things combined. But at the same time, why I think that is based off talent, but at the same time, how fast you think this turnaround can come through? So you expect them to get a coach, and you believe that it's going to turn around in at least the level of CONCACAF, not necessarily translated to worldwide, just for CONCACAF level. So by the next Nations League, you expect them to come around and keep their foot on their and at least the lower tier teams' neck in CONCACAF, and will it translate to main level football?
The problem, in a sense, is that we've seen different versions of them be able to get through CONCACAF. So, fair or not, I don't think CONCACAF is the standard for the US. And it's an arrogant way to look at it, but we've seen them play poorly and still win. We've seen them play well and still win. We've seen them bring C teams, B teams to the Gold Cup and still win. We've seen them we haven't seen their full team yet. So their conversation to me is less about what they do in CONCACAF and what can they do now with more teams. Now, CONCACAF is always going to be the standard and the litmus test for them in terms of, are you passing the grade? Because as we've seen, CONCACAF is improving, right? The talent is coming and the coaching is coming as well. So for them, can they play out? For them, to me, the standard for them is they should be able to walk onto a pitch based off the talent that their fans think they have. And at some points, I do believe they have. I think they should walk onto every pitch and be disappointed if they aren't beating a team 3-0 comfortably. That is the talent I believe the US has.
All right.
And if you can't do that consistently in the region deserves its credit. There's no doubt, right? If they when they play Canada later this year in September or whenever it is, and Canada pulls a draw from them, it's going to be both a conversation of Canada is improving and this US side is soft. They may be mentally soft. And they haven't had someone who can tap into them to really push through, because I think there's enough talent there that they should dominate. They should be disappointed if they aren't winning a game 3-0 against, bring it in, whoever you want it to be. Top competitions, it should be at least 3. That's how I view their talent. Now, they haven't had a coach to be able to pull that out. So I think for me, that is where it kind of starts for me for there.
All right, go through it so we can run through the Jamaica side as well, because I knew that you had your time.
JD,
set, so.
JD, at this point, we're blowing through this time. Let's
Okay,
relax.
well,
Grab a beverage. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be talking.
I'm just saying, go through. You have a lot of comments, and then we're gonna get straight to the Jamaica side.
Yes, guys, I appreciate all the feedback and the conversations. How many I'm trying to highlight it. If I don't say it, I will show it. So, guys, let's just keep this going. Hallgrimsson, do you think they need a coach who protects them or exposes them? Like a Southgate would protect the players from the media, would take the bullets, true, but Pep would use the media to hold the players accountable. I think they've been protected. I think they need a coach who is going to say, not only behind the doors, but also in front of the media, yeah, their performance today wasn't good enough, right? Yes, you went down. What Timothy Weah did against Panama was unacceptable. It put us in a bad situation. However, we should still have been able to pull out the victory because we scored and we're playing well. He tried to preserve a tie and it backfired. I think they need, at this point, to be brought in. We can't use Copa to judge the JA team. The coach was out and didn't do justice to the players. We'll get to Jamaica in a minute. Don't worry. What would be better? Just answered that. There we go. Klopp said no to the USA job. I saw that as well.
Yeah.
So
let me look for that. Yeah. Klopp can't just jump into another job at this point. He needs to keep his legend going at Liverpool.
Mm-hmm. Australia did the same thing, went to a stronger confederation to get better competition. The problem with Australia is, I mean, if the US goes to if the US goes to Commonwealth, who are they better than? They are in the same. If the US goes to Commonwealth at home and away, like they would get there would be no home. Like we always joke about how the US doesn't want to play in Texas or California because they're afraid that they play Mexico there, they're going to be overrun with Mexican fans. We just hosted a Copa America, and there were more South American fans coming in games for the most part. If they go to Commonwealth, where would they go? They want to join Oceanic? They want to play New Zealand every other day and beat Papua New Guinea? I think they have an opportunity, the US does, as well as Mexico in that matter, over the next couple of years, because they don't have to do qualifiers. They can try to find games against competition in windows where there aren't qualifiers happening. And I think they need to take advantage of that time, because if you play, like if you're US, if you play in Norway or you play a Poland, it's still a side that has quality sides that you need to prove that you can beat those sides. Because I think Burhalter's the best team Burhalter's beaten. That's not Mexico, is Iran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Iran in the World Cup, yeah. And a good performance against England, we have to be honest. Because to be honest, they were the team that should have actually won that at the time,
True. I don't see no fault in that statement. So that would be where it is. In Australia, and even Australia going to Asia, like Australia went to Asia and they went from Okay, they've made World Cups since, there's no doubt, but Asia is not some soft slope side. Asia is a tough confederation. I mean, we can question if people buy off, finals and stuff. But like, I think they are a good side overall. So I think they're able to perform, but that has definitely got them better. And there, Steph saying Nations League has done a lot to raise the standard of this region. US isn't so good like Australia. That's that's an automatic dub for they deserve for a different region. True. And they would have had to gone through there. Where should they go? CONMEBOL. I just said CONMEBOL. I think they would get it would be a good rude awakening, and this would going to CONMEBOL would either make this team mentally stronger or they would crumble. There's no in between, because CONMEBOL will test you. Okay, Brazil brought in the police to take off Argentina players just for advantage. Okay, that's what this is. That's the level of CONCACAFing they have there. So I don't mind that either way. African, how much players on the U.S. team is among the top 5 players in their position in their league? In their league, I would say.
But why that actually matters? Because that doesn't really make a good team. If you're at a high level, everyone is at a high level. That is a very good team. And remember, the CONCACAF is not at the highest level. So if you have even everybody coming from the Premier League, that is already enough dominance right there. And USA have a lot of good players in a lot of good position. All right, Weston McKennie is one of the best midfielders you can find now. Just the same, Pulisic the same. We have to give the people their credit. I don't think when it comes on to most of the rosters in CONCACAF, any team can touch the United States. Not damn one of us can touch the United States. I'm very sorry.
No, that's true. That's true. And I think, and that's a tough way to put the standard of what the player is. How many response? How many Moroccans are top 5 in the big league? Morocco is always an interesting case study because Morocco is a case study of the federation choosing the players over the coach, and they have a deep World Cup run to talk about it. So there we go. More talk on Fabrizio saying it was never possible for the U.S. He wasn't going to come out there, so that was never an issue. The U.S. struggles outside of the States. I agree. So get them. If you really want to improve the side, take this side and have them to get results somewhere else. I'm not even lying when I say this. Take them on tour. Go to Africa. Play the Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Morocco, and then cross the channel and then play Spain. And then that's your friendlies for a year and see how it toughens you emotionally and mentally going from there. All right. Jamaica needs to start playing top 30, 40 teams in the world. You need to start playing like a top 50 team in the world, would be my response to that. Asia is trash. Qatar is our current champion and got okay. See, okay. Steph, I understand why you say that. And my response to that is, what did Japan do to us? What did Japan do to Canada? Yes, say it was with Biello, but what did Japan do to us? It wasn't close. It wasn't close. I can understand people. If you're gonna judge a team based off of, if you can judge a confederation based off their champion,
United States never won the World Cup qualifiers. It was Canada won it. You understand me? The Gold Cup, it was Mexico won the Gold Cup. It was not United States either. Obviously, other situation happened. Africans look at Keith Rose. Easier.
No, I'm here. Okay. I was reading comments. I'm here.
So I think just jumping and not going into details to see why Qatar would have won or whatever the situation is. I think you have to be careful. All right, that doesn't really reflect on the true situation, because anytime certain teams box certain teams in CONCACAF, they're going to beat the brakes off us. I saw Japan U23 running through Damian Lowe's legs. All right, Kubo and those mans not playing. All right, they ain't playing. So stop disrespecting other regions. Go ahead.
No, okay, so now I understand. Okay, now I understand what you're saying with her before the game. Because I said I think based off the talent that they have, they should win every game at least. I think based off the talent that they have, yes, I do believe that. Based on the talent that the US does have. But I think that's the talent that they have overall. What do they have? They have 2 players who I think in one league who you'd say are top 5 in their league. I think McKennie is there. I think Pulisic is there for the Italian league. If you want to go the Premier League, Robinson was probably one of the better left backs in the Prem this past year. That's my opinion. And you can disagree with me there. That's fine. But the standard for the standard for CONCACAF isn't high, right? The best player in CONCACAF is a fullback who would prefer to play winger, but plays fullback because that's where his club has him, which is Davies. Davies is the closest thing currently to a best player at that position in the world. Outside of that, and that's where it is. Teams are either top heavy or are just a lot of lower middling players from a world standpoint, but then don't have the player to take them off. So teams are either trying to say, that's why I say for Panama needs 3 more Kataskias. If you look at Canada needs like 4 more players at the level of Ishmael Kone.
Yeah.
Right?
Center backs into midfield, yes, that is true. Preferable center backs, to be honest. Canada need 3 more Ethan Pinnox, they don't have one, but they need 3 more.
Yes. Yeah. Europe didn't become trash in 24 because Greece fluked Euros. Greece parked that bus, and look, Euros have been good since, but hey, they did what they had to do and they got the result. So I think for me, that's how I look at it, and that's fair. USA has players on the bench that would start from Mexico, tells you all you need to know. We aren't that, we are a little bit more bereft in talent than we realize. We have young players who can break through, but we need to see the consistency. That's always the thing I always say. Consistency is the thing that matters for me. So get to a level, perform there consistently. Even if you're the super sub for the last 15 every game and you create an impact, that's still consistency for me. So that kind of goes where it is. Yes.
I think we're really disrespecting Asia Confed. I think Asia Confed is actually stronger than I still would you not put it over CONCACAF?
Yes.
I still would put it over CONCACAF because of the top teams, the top 4 teams, 5 teams will battle the teams in CONCACAF, including the United States. So we have to be honest.
Yeah. Europe, CONMEBOL, CAF, Asia, CONCACAF, New Zealand, and friends. That's the ranking for me. That's how I see it. And that's kind of how it is. But I mean, we can talk about the US here, but we're not here to talk about them. They have enough channels. Speaking of people who have enough channels,
we gave it good time. We gave it good time. Go ahead.
Speaking of people who have enough channels, let's talk about Jamaica, JD.
Oh my God! I have never seen a team that doesn't perform well. Oh my God! You have more channels than anything for Jamaica. Good. But tell you what, that's how it is because it strikes more conversations. Get more people involved because Jamaica is not even footballing culture, to be honest. So I'm loving that channels are popping up. So you could actually become some more. You could have some more football conversation.
No.
So, anyways, Jamaica.
All joking aside, but yeah, Graham lives. He leaves for the Northern Ireland job or the Ireland Republic job. Jamaica now doesn't have a coach. There's so much that we can talk about. Let's start with. Oh, of course, I say Jamaica and Sean appears. This is of course how it goes all the time. How do you rate Jamaica's performance at the Copa? And what would you say? And guys, this is also for you. How would you rate their performance? And what are the steps moving forward now? Because you have qualifiers coming up, Nations League and such coming up in September and months and such. So how do you rate the performance? But then what are the steps that you as fans, if I know we have Jamaicans here, let's go. What would you say your next steps would be?
All right. This is where I would start. I'm going to put a 10 meter. All right. So I can balance the conversation because if I do talk straight, they're going to beat me. All right. So for me, out of 10, I think Jamaica deserve nothing more than a 2.5. As you said, 35 minutes, we showed some pulse. Aside from that, we weren't in the games. We weren't competitive. We looked lost the majority of the time. The only thing we realized that our centre backs should not include Damian Lowe, which I think that's the only thing figured out. So it's sensationalism and drama runs Jamaica team. That's what I figured out, So nothing on the field that I never knew. I knew that Ethan Pinnock and Shane Bernard with Latibodier were very good centre backs. We figured that out. The coach figured that out in the tournament. Yes, and Mikel Antoni is a very good forward. We figured that out as well. We never had any much midfielders. We figured that out as well, and definitely we never had any versatility as it relates to a coach. We figured out that as well. So I think we figured out everything, and 2.5 is the best thing. Where we go from here, boy, oh boy, Africans, that is where the biggest problem. The biggest problem we have. I don't know where we go from here because I've just named that we don't have a football team. Pretty much, we don't have a coach. A majority of our players them ain't ready. And our overall federation don't really care about what is deemed as worldwide ready. See, we are having this conversation talking about Concacaf and worldwide. I don't even think they actually know what Concacaf ready means. So Concacaf ready is maybe like the JPL, the Concacaf Champions League type ready. That's what they perceive Concacaf ready as, because some of these players only ready for JPL games, not even Concacaf Championship they are ready for. But for some reason, people that doesn't have the qualification to decide even that want to decide that these are the guys we should use to prepare for our national team. So the region is just gone left Jamaica at this point, and we are just spiraling like Drake. You understand me? Sorry, Canadians, but I had to put that one in it. Sorry.
Leave Aubrey's done enough for himself. Leave him alone. Okay? he needs to do a me and disappear for a little bit. Just take some time. Come back when he puts a good bed in, and like Aubrey needs some time. So let's leave Aubrey off on the side, please.
Yeah, but I have to be honest. I think Jamaica is just spiraling at this point because we have quality players, but we just don't know what to do because the people in charge are not as good as the people we have to truly select from. And they are going to still go back to what they can resonate to, which is the JPL players and a few Manning Cup players. It's going to always be like that and nothing serious. I heard people saying that they want the best coach, but yet still they're going to pin a Manning Cup coach to him as well and said we need experienced Africans. So we need experienced Africans. So he's not going to look a job somewhere else because he can't get it. He has to get it in the national team. So you have to win regardless of the situation. So that's what Jamaica is at this point. And all of those points are factual points. So that's what I've used to base my conclusion on.
That is fair. Going through these comments there, yes, a lot of things on. There was a conversation that started there with how many bench players could play for Mexico from the U.S. Have fun with that, guys. I'll maybe get into that later, but I don't think we will. I think Davies will get to Canada a little bit. I don't know. Jamaica is interesting to me because Jamaica to me feels like a side that could be, but probably won't be. And it's frustrating. Pete always says this because better teams mean a better CONCACAF. And if the region gets better, then the play and everything gets better. And that is good. Jamaica, to me, from the outside looking in, just seems like I don't even think that. I don't know if Grim was the right coach or the wrong coach. It depended on what you were looking for him to do. I think my problems with him when he was there was that he was a defense first coach that I barely, not to say that I barely saw defending, but for a team, but like
we had seen some defending in the Copa America. I think I've seen some defending right there. I could see the shape up, and we have to say in the Panama game and the United States game. So in the Nations League and also the last set of games that he played, I would say we saw some defending. I think we only saw defending. For the last 10 games he played, we only saw defending. I don't even know where attack went. Because once you didn't have Damari Gray playing or Liam Bailey playing, obviously people would say Liam Bailey does nothing for Jamaica, which might be true. But maybe his presence there and his shadow helping. But once those guys not playing, I don't see no attack in Jamaica team. Not one damn attack at all. You understand me? So he did show some pulse in the defensive side, Africans, as to what I'm talking about with the last of the games. But the Canada games, there was not name defending because Canada could have scored 48 goals while Jamaica could have scored 13. because Leon Bailey missed 12 out of the 13. All right.
Mm.
So
and
yeah,
and
so I
Blake say
agree.
15 out of the 17. I agree.
Yeah, so I agree. I agree that when they never showed any defense, but definitely in the last set of games, Nations League and also Copa, I saw some more defense in the team, but the attack just gone. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like they always like Hallgrimsson wasn't a bad choice, but then the if there's nothing inherently wrong with a coach. A coach will come in and try to play a style. The question always starts with, do the players you bring in match the style that the coach wants to play? And then we always make this Nigeria joke all the time, but like I don't expect 12 strikers on the pitch to be able to be solid in the defensive midfield because they all want to be further up the pitch and to score. That's what they want to do. And so for me, Hallgrimsson's style versus the players that they had or they were bringing in always felt round hole square peg. So you just have to switch you just have to switch it to either a round peg round hole or a square peg square hole. But every time you looked at it, it felt like, okay, this team is probably going to try to play you had a defensive coach who played offensive players who preached defensive responsibility, but should have just said, like, if he had just came out and said, or if he had just changed his philosophy based on what we saw and said, you know what, guys, forget defense. We're going to just look, Andre, we love you, but if you could make 4 out of 6 saves every game, we're going to try to score 8 out of we're going to try to score 5 out of the 8
We're
chances
gonna
we have.
score every team.
We're just going to
Today.
outscore.
Yeah.
That to me would have
Facts.
made more sense, but it just felt like he was like, okay, we're going to try to play defensive. We're going to have these players. That's where he ultimately ends up and lands with the Damian Lowe in the CDM role. But like, it never felt as if this was a coach who had his style married the players that he had. Now, is that him making that decision? Is that the talent that he has at his disposal? Is that the outside influences saying here? I can't tell you. People will say anything. I'm an outsider. I have no skin in this game. So, but for me, Hallgrimsson always seemed like a coach whose style never matched the players, right? And because of that, I
I
feel like
agree.
he
I
wasn't
agree.
doomed, but at the end of the day, he wasn't going to succeed.
I agree, and not just the style, not just the players,
Mhm.
but also the situation never matched him. Because if you did your research on the coach, I think the only time I think he strived and that Icelandic team strived was under pressure when they are pretty much nobodies,
Mhm.
because they are all about structure. They are all about principle structure. Period. But when Jamaica, the squad that he had for Jamaica is not necessarily a poor squad that you have to be fighting. Like, for instance, Panama pumping above their weights because Panama doesn't have the squad as Canada, United States, Mexico, Jamaica. I don't even think Panama has the same level squad as Suriname.
They don't.
Not even close to Suriname, but they are pumping over the top. So
But
I think that's the type of team that you would have him in. But
mm,
Jamaica had different expectations. Jamaica expectation was you have to be ranked within the top 3 because the squad that you have. So we need a playing style. We need the fans them to get belief. We needed to grow 2 young boys. So we needed to bring on Dixon and Whisper on the team too as well, because the top 15 players you have supposed to be good enough to do the job, and the rest can be fillers to make other clubs see them. So the expectation was over the top. You understand?
but like, we had this conversation day one when they hired him, and I said, if you like, what is the expectation for him? Because people were coming to say like, oh, he's gonna change the style. I'm like, no, he was the coach. If you are asking him to change the style of that's not going to be that's not going to be a 2 year project. It can't be a 2 year project. Like, I know Hammers Hammerswell has a comment here like, we should have tried to been the Icelandic style. And my point, I had that people were saying that when he was first hired. I'm like, you do realize that they started that from scratch. They rebuilt that from scratch. You are trying to now come in and be like, oh, we can throw this person in. We can do this. We can It felt like they were trying to add water, stir gently, and voila, a souffle. What? That doesn't happen like that. You need to put in the time. You need to play in. You need to put in some. And it makes me think about every time that I've watched him and listened to him in a press conference where he's always complaining about, we just need more time. I wish I had more time with the players to implement my system and to do this. Because if that's how he sounded, I'm going to try to connect dots where maybe they aren't. Maybe that's where he gets to the camp every time. He's like, guys, you want to play on, you know what? I have two, you know what, guys? I wanted to work down on midfield defensive structure, but you know what, guys? Just go get the ball and go score. And midfield, please don't be a sieve, please, and we'd appreciate that. Please and thank you. It just felt as if it was that. And like, I feel as if the expectations people had for him coming in was, oh, we're going to build this Icelandic style. Look what they did.
That was never. You couldn't do the Icelandic style because the Icelandic style was solely based on them not having enough talent. They never had enough talent in the position that they found themselves, because in Europe they would have been the 19 million best team, and guess how much you have? How much teams? 19 million. So they would be the last place best team. That's it. In the region, Jamaica would be considered as a top 5 actual talented squad. Obviously, no, it might gone down to 5, 6. I am not certain which level of talent Jamaica squad actually have at this point, because other people updated their roster. Costa Rica start to actually ship out players to a different level, which we just talked, and so we don't truly know where Jamaica roster is. But the expectation was deserved to be a little bit different because of the situation that we have here. But it just couldn't give it a flamboyant style. So I fully agree with you that it wouldn't have worked to the level that Jamaica wanted it. And we have to be honest to ourselves. My question is, it's only one time Jamaica played organized football. To be honest, we have to be honest to ourselves. It's only one time in the last 30 years I've heard a commentator and people saying that Jamaica actually looks like a team, rigid system and everything. And it was under Schaefer's, not even under René Simões. René Simões was actually saying that he needs more professional players to play what he truly wants. And that was something that caused problems in Jamaica as well. So we never truly. So maybe Jamaica is the next team again. That expectation is way more higher. I think Jamaica fits that mold more than United States, because I actually think United States have the roster, the entire squad depth, and they're picking from their squad depth. I don't think Jamaica doing that, but expecting the same thing as United States. You think it's deserved? Because I think it's not deserved. We don't have the squad to be talking in the same vein and like United States. I don't believe so.
I'll say it this way, because I like my food and grocery store analogies. The U.S. has their stuff on the shelves. Jamaica thinks they can buy things off the shelves and they'll be good, wherever the shelf is. Right. And I know people might look at that as if I'm saying, hey, I'm saying don't buy from this store or buy from this. The U.S. has players that they've been doing a better job of getting those players into positions where they can develop. Jamaica needs to reach that level. They have access to the same things. I won't deny that. Jamaica has access to talent beyond the years. But how they play with that, how they bring that in, that is always going to be the conversation. And to build something like that, you have to start from the ground up, right? That's what everyone always looks at the projects and says, look at what they've been able to do. Everyone says, look at how England reset everything. Look at how Germany did it before they hosted the World Cup. Look at what Iceland did. Everyone has the countries and says, this is what they need to do. We've seen it happen. The question now becomes, are you going to put in the work? Are you going to is someone going to be able to get everyone? Because that's the thing. All those projects involved a body saying, bring everyone together. We are going to do this, which means we are going to put the emphasis on these things. We're going to say, now we want to develop more. Belgium is another example. We're going to try to develop technical players in this way, which means these are the standards that we're going to have. As the body, the only person who can do that right now in Jamaica is the head, which would be the JFF. And until the JFF decides we need to go in a different level, we need to go into a standard where we are developing players that can reach a point of not only a higher standard for the country, but then that also means a higher standard for, okay, people will know the standard's higher, which means now when a country comes in, maybe an MLS team, instead of waiting for a player to be 21, 22, going to a college, maybe an
Mm-hmm.
MLS academy says, let me grab this child of what, a cousin, an aunt somewhere. Let me try to claim this child and get them in here to this academy early. Because or maybe that's them, and I've said this before, maybe that's looking the USL route and saying, hey, MLS is fine and all, but if you want to develop, get your players into high-level USLs and make sure they can succeed, because that is also an effective way, if you're thinking from the standpoint of selling players, goes. But everything has to start, in terms of your football development, it has to start from the GFF saying, this is the standard we want to keep. And until they're able to do that, until they choose to do that, then we'll just swap a plate here, swap a CD here, and then we'll think that the party is pumping, but then in reality, no music video is being made. So
let me ask you the question then, because I think it's very good that I can ask a non-Jamaican, so they can give me. I honestly believe that you can give me an answer that I and let's say I'm not believing anybody else, but I just believe that you will be more natural. So based on what you saw, we don't have any coach. We have the Nations League coming up. We have 3 teams: Nicaragua, I think, double Honduras, and Cuba. Those are the 4 teams you have before the World Cup qualifiers, which we have BVI and Guatemala. So based on what you saw from all of these teams, and based on what you saw from Jamaica, you honestly believe that we're going to get a coach and we're going to fix things and make it right?
No, you're not going to fix anything in 2 months. Your best bet would be if I was in charge of the JFF and trying to get a coach, I find an interim that can get you through Nations League. That's it. Get you through Nations League, but then have specific criteria in terms of find the things that you're missing. Find a creative midfielder. Find a defensive midfielder, right? Find depth on players who can perform in specific roles, not players who are showing promise, because anyone can show promise. But if you're in a system, look at Canada with the 4-2-2-2, right? Or the 4-4-2. You can be promising. They brought what feels like 8,000 strikers. Theo Bair hasn't seen the pitch yet. After leading his team in Scottish Premier League, stylistically, does he fit? Right? Tani comes in because he has space. He's moving. That fits better. They still need to find a 10. They still need to find a 6. So on a short term, you have to say you have Nations League. You want to get there because that's another showcase piece for you, for the squad. You still have a solid team, and you still have solid players per se. Can you identify the things that are missing from that side? In my opinion, that would be either a 6 or a 10, probably a 6 first. And then from there, if you can identify a 6, change to either a back 3, a 3-4-3, or go to a 3-5-2. And then try to play that out and then figure out what is missing from there, and then start to identify things and move on. And while you're doing that, you're finding a coach. As the federation, you have to set the standard for what you want the standard of the game to be. It's not about 2026. Like 2026 is not impossible, but to me, you have to think bigger than 2026. You have to think, okay, is 2030 the goal now to improve everything? That doesn't mean, and by me saying that, I'm not abandoning these eras. Like, you can still try to qualify, you can still build for that. Canada was trying to prepare for the 2026, but then decided they would still try to qualify for 2022, and they were able to do so. Those things aren't mutually exclusive, but as a federation, they need to set the standard of what they want to see for footballing in the country. That means enough parish quarrels, that means enough club preference, that means for the country. What is the standard for the country? They need, in my opinion, they need to bring in a actual technical director. Bring in a technical director first.
Oh my God.
Bring in a technical director first.
What are you? You ain't taking away the bad man them jobs in Jamaica Africans?
JD, I've been to this restaurant for 4 years. The food hasn't gone better. So I'm changing the chef. I am changing the chef.
Oh my God. Africans get banned from Jamaica airport. All right, go ahead,
Um,
Africans. You're on point. You're on point. But,
even if I get banned, I'll go with my brother. My brother can still get in, so we'll do that. But like, I would do that, and then he sets the standard for what you want. But then you also have you try to create different opportunities for that. Still, I'd say the one thing I think is a real good indicator for your country, and you don't have to do much with them, but even if it's as simple as just say, let's run camps every month or every 2 months. Bring together the best players, bring them together to train together, to build some familiarity with them. Don't wait 8 weeks before a U20 qualification comes and still be running trials in South Florida or in New York or in Pennsylvania because you need to do it. Run camps I am a big believer in running camps as often and as early as possible. Run a camp every 2 months. You should have a camp every month, but rather them other. One for should be for girls, one should be for boys, and just run them. Bring together the talent, see what their level is, evaluate, move on, keep it going. Is it going to be expensive? Of course it is. But in doing so, then as your technical director, you can say, hey, this is good. We're looking to develop these types of things. We're looking to develop that. I don't know if Jamaica can be organized enough to have regional development centers similar to like what they did in Germany, where that's where you find a player like Podolski. That's where you found a player like Miroslav Klose. Like, I don't know if they're that organized or if they have that funding to do it. But running a camp every month in a specific area, if you say, hey, National Stadium, we're taking the best 200 U18 players who are girls. We bring them in and you're running sessions for a week. Start to level it out and bring it in. And then continue to build that off and then go. And then
You're spot on. You're
Mhm.
spot on, Africans. I think that is a solution for Jamaica. And I would even go one further, Africans. The technical director, as we saw here, is Wendell Downswell. That's what they have said here. The technical director, Wendell Downswell, he is the technical director
How long has he
for
been
the
there
JFF.
for?
He was born in 1958, and it looks like he has the job from 1958 until now.
I knew
You
that
know,
was coming.
yes,
I knew that was
he,
coming.
he, he has it a while now. But the thing is,
Mhm.
what can he truly offer? If you look at it, like because you have to look at your position. I love the way you pattern the statement, because what Jamaica, Wendell Donze was at his top tier when he only could look at 60 Jamaican born kids and said, do this, do that. You
Mhm.
understand me? Now, you have kids coming in has more knowledge than him and football. You understand me? So it's a time for you to mesh your actual work with the standard as well. So people should be coming in with worldwide experience to get the
Mhm.
job done. So I totally agree with you that that should be the case. So we should know we're getting a bunch of overseas players. We need to actually upgrade ourselves in that department of the technical director, so we can know where we truly need to be. All
Do,
right.
do you
The
know
man
what?
is still,
Yeah,
yeah.
jump in. Do you know who would have been an interesting person for this job if they hadn't already tried him as a coach?
The same Hallgrimsson,
No, Paul Hall.
John Wall, Paul Hall, yeah, because Paul Hall would be the perfect one. You know why? He has the billing from England,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and also he knows about the coaching and to develop
Mm-hmm.
players. So you would know exactly what to do, but you have to give him the full autonomy. Don't tell him about 15 plus
Exactly.
6 equal this and that, and
Yeah.
the stories. So to be honest, I just think that the Jamaica Football Federation, they create problems on themselves. Based on me watching it, they can be in the clearest position at the start and still create the problems on themselves. And I've seen them did it over and over. Because remember,
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, Africans, this is the same team. Liam Bailey said cannot qualify. If we don't make it to the World Cup, it's a JFA fault. All right. We never fully agree with him, but at the same time, he had said that. And then 4 years later, he's saying if we don't make it to the World Cup, it is the JFF fault in Africans.
Well, maybe. The thing is, there are two constant things, and they've both been doing the same type of thing, and I'm still waiting for a six. I'm still waiting for a six. So we'll see.
Young Kings, I'm almost certain Parlal is way better than Wendell Downs, man. I am not asking you. It is a fact. Remember, Parlal for development, Parlal was one of the best developer. Obviously, he was in a group of actual players in England at the time. Wendell Downs will have history with motivating Jamaican kids. Majority of that is not based on educational part. It's based on our culture, which is to G up people and tell them that we are greater than everything else aside from giving them the knowledge, because he doesn't have the required knowledge to get everybody to a higher standard. So because we improve overall our pool, we have to get the people to back it. And that's why we keep on having people. And then we said, okay, they're too good, Africans. Listen to this, they are too good. So you know what we're going to do now? Because we have to keep it balanced. We are going to take out 7 of them Africans because 14 look too much. So we're going to put 7 alone and then put the next rest of them to make up the numbers as Jamaican Barnes, because we can't compete with the true talent of the other guys. That is literally you telling me that they're not good enough. Parlal wouldn't say that. Parlal would have identified everybody that is good enough. So if it's 3 of them, he would put the next 3 in it with the other 17, and then the rest of them that are not good enough, he has a plan right up for their coaches, because he has the knowledge to get them up to that level. So everyone would have improved. If you don't make the competition, but you would have still improved nonetheless. You understand me? That is the big difference. I don't know what Wendell Downs will be telling them. Yes, you're greater than everybody. That's not going to work. It's time for we to show something. I just saw Wendell Downs on the sideline in whatever I call the Panam games or whatever games it is, and people running rings around Jamaica. Some man that they just put together from Guatemala running rings around Jamaica. We just saw that, brother. So we need to understand that we have levels to this. Our fantasy way of thinking is not the way to go in life. I'm telling you, that only can go so far. You can trick people in the Concacaf, and you can't do that either, because Jamaicans get 6 love in the Concacaf. So this fantasy story is done with. You have to bring something to the table. And I agree with Africans, something need to give. Some of these mans need to lose their jobs because they're too comfortable. Straight up.
Yeah, because we can't, because like, you love him or hate him. Bailey said that 4 years ago, and it's still kind of true today. Because I've said this about that. Like,
Africans, he said it 4 years ago, but he also said it 4 weeks ago as well.
Well, he's staying consistent. He likes his 4s, but like, I do agree with you. Like, it's there, JD. It's not a crime, or it's not a coincidence that I used to say Jamaica, the JFF, more clerical errors than wins. That was my statement. I used to say, and I mean, there have been less clerical errors. We thank God for that. But
I don't even think that is true in Africans. I think there
less public ones.
There is actually more, but now they figured ways to cover it up by actually getting people to mask it over the actual people, and that makes the most nice. You understand me?
No, that's true.
Chris Smith, I don't think it actually fixed. Nothing fixed.
Chris Smith, I do want to get to this point, but like, the conversation is gone. But I will just touch on this. Development spots for local players. I think Canada's system is improving. It's different. Is it ideal? No. I think the one thing that Canada is missing, which is the most, we have one province, Quebec, which is French speaking. There's no professionalization there. There's a women's team coming there next year, but I think that's a prime example for me, which is, to join for a league to come up to the professionalization league, you need about $15 million Canadian to buy into that, right? Whereas there are lower leagues where it's not as affordable for different spots. If you look at the women's side, we are centralized, right? Unless you are playing in a development center in Ontario, with our Toronto, Ottawa, and Vancouver, or in Montreal, you aren't making a national team basically from the women's side. We're very too centralized, and we let players go. There are more Canadian on the women's side that you'll see and say, hey, oh, this player is playing for this team, right? We have a Canadian is starting for who? Oh, 3 Canadians just made the Portuguese side. Oh, good for them. Good for them. What? Tiffany Cameron's playing for Jamaica. Good for her. Right. I think at the end of the day, Canada's system is very much has its issues and its flaws. It's getting better, but I think the access is the big problem at the grassroots level, all the way up to the professional level. Access is the problem. Until they're able to fix that, it's always going to be a bit of a problem in terms of how they are, because their lower semi-pro leagues are sending youth players to academies. And the second they're going over, like one good player, Eric Pop played U17 for Canada. And the second he got over there, Romania said, we know you. Come play for our U18 team and start getting minutes there immediately. That's one of Canada's imbalances, that they aren't able to stay there. Players who've gone, the Stefan Mitroviches of the world, players like of that nature, they go over, there's not much contact, and then when they become good, they found home in Serbia. Or Nico Sigur, who is playing for Croatia's youth teams, is Canadian, played in Canadian system, went over and gone. So I think they're keeping track of players is something that needs to improve, but also availability and access is something for Canada needs to improve on that aspect. But it's a good point, guys. We're going to run through these comments.
But look at that, Africans. Yeah. I know you want to run through the comments.
Yeah.
And guys, please hit like button, share to your friends and everything, so we can make this stream as big as possible. At the same time, Africans, of all of that you said, the last time I saw Pacific FC playing Waterhouse, I don't think you could put one team on the field with that team and it turns out a different result. So even with all of that said, and the CPL is just coming into its form, look how rapid they are improving. You know why? Every coach there are educated to the highest level. They know what they are telling people. You understand me? They know what they know to structure themselves properly. We are still trying to get there after 100 years. You understand me? So it tells me the fantasy lifestyle and try to G me up, not get me nowhere. I need to know what to do. I don't need no divine intervention, especially in sports, because that means you should not get any benefits from the Lord. The Lord should be watching. That means everyone is okay. It should not be Jamaica gets any preferential treatment and the next team don't get it. It don't work. You understand me? And those fantasy talking, I can't bother with it because it's nonsensical. We have to be honest to ourselves. All right? Yes. And I am saying that. And I mean it, yes.
I do appreciate your preaching voice on a Friday afternoon. I'm preparing to work.
It's stressing me. It's stressing me, man.
No, it's fair.
I want to see the team good, but at the same time, it's just not working, you know. And the way they talk, the level of confidence these guys have, that and they don't achieve nothing. That is the mentalist. I'm trying to look for words. That is the mental side that I can't understand. The level of confidence that these people have without achieving nothing. It's amazing, you know. And I think we need to stop that foolishness, you know. But I know why they have that level of confidence is because they center themselves around with those people alone that thinks the same way. But anytime they get someone with reality will be beating them in two realities very soon.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
No, that's fair. And yeah, Quebec isn't all hockey. You have to understand the different demographics of Canada and how it's changing. I mean, you can see it in the team. For an immigrant family, what are you going to pay? There's a reason why basketball and football are exploding in Canada right now, because from just an affordability standpoint, it's way more cost effective. And even then, it's too expensive to play in Canada. So you don't get even the best players. Like you'll get some players who maybe get a scholarship here and there, but it's the same conversation you'll hear in the States where they'll say there are players who are talented, but you don't get access to them because it's too expensive to play. Same thing again, not true. That is very much true. Cost is a major problem, right? I've talked to different clubs where they tell me what their issue is. Not even like League One clubs, just your local clubs who are playing house league, and we can't afford to rent the space. And I think the climate affects that a lot, but that's a reality with a country like Canada. It's just cost to play is really going to be a problem moving forward unless you fix that problem, which is why I've always been more of the belief of when it comes to the CPL, are you better off empowering teams that are already there? That's why I look with like CS Saint Laurent. I was like, why are we charging them to come into that league when they've proven that they can play at that level? Why not make why not make the barriers of entry easier versus saying this is a franchise, you need to bring them and go? But that's a whole Canadian soccer conversation for a later date. I think access is going to be the issue that stops us from becoming a solid side overall. Pastor is clearly working on his Saturday sermon, so I'll let him know that.
I am telling you, Pastor should be proud of me today. You understand me? I have beaten them. I have beaten them so solid today on the Bibles. You know, yeah.
JD, long ball chapter 2 verse 3. When it's woofed for, the winger pursueth. It's a proverb, I've been told. A proverb. So we go from there. Is Canada king of CONCACAF? No.
I think
no crown.
I think JD's
no
dog.
Crown.
How are you doing with your Rastaman hairstyle? Like, God go with you. Yes, we have to give them the crown. You know why? Because every single time when we embarrassed ourselves, Canada turns up to save the day. I know Tactical doesn't like this title, and I'm convinced JD's dog is Tactical's fake account. I am almost certain, but not going to say anything. Almost certain.
No, I don't think. I think Canada has brought back the conversation where they are clearly the third best team in the region. I will continually say, show it to me consistently. In CONCACAF, they haven't shown it yet. They've had a good run in Copa, which is better team. So in theory, they should be comfortably the third team. But I think the Crown Prince, no, I don't want no prince that was promised or anything. Next in line, we'll see. But I think for Canada, they are back in a third spot, and now you have to show it. They have this game against Uruguay that's going to be good tomorrow, but then also they have the friendlies against Mexico and the US. And if they can,
no, go ahead, Africans.
I see it. I saw it.
Oh my God.
Yo, too much.
Can't believe this. You know,
I do agree. Yeah.
From the other day, people kind of, I don't know if it's my tone, because I think people in the Jamaica space, they kind of categorize people, you know, so I had to bring up my inner Kendrick, you know. Yes.
No, what?
Let people know that
JD,
I can whop them, you know.
JD, yes. This is a safe space. I don't need to hear Kendrick or Aubrey right now. I need to be in a safe space.
You know, yeah, I had to show them that I can pop out and show them what I can do, you know. Yes.
So right, there we go. Zenot, I agree with you about the Quebec team. They can win the CPL if allowed to play. I think make the barriers of in Canada, the sport will grow if they make the barriers of entry a lot easier than what they are. I understand that they're trying to protect the product and whatnot, and yes, you want the standard, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of like the MLS. The North American franchise model, I'm not the biggest fan of in terms of sports, because I like the local. If I know that my local side can play and then they can reach that level, I understand barriers of entry in terms of the infrastructure. That's always going to be the question. And that's Canada's big issue outside of cost. It's infrastructure. We don't have stadiums. We don't have grass stadiums, let alone stadiums. We have 11 stadiums for Canadian American football. But then outside of that, our biggest grass stadium is BMO, where TFC plays. Then it's where then the next one is where CF Montreal plays. Then the next ones are 6,000 to 8,000 in terms of capacity, and they're for the CPL, the Canadian Premier League. So we don't have the infrastructure. That's been our biggest problem. Weather affects that. And so I think for them, barriers of entry, make that easier, but also find ways to make that aspect a little bit easier. Next in line, there we go. We'll see. I'm still saying JD had to hide a bio. Okay.
Yes.
Well done, Amzo. Well done.
You know?
Okay. Canada is not number one until they win gold and Nations Cup. I've said that to me, Canada needs to win. They need to win the Gold Cup.
Yeah, well, grantee. The problem is United States is not number one either. I know that the last time I said that the other day, and I got up one hell of a beating. But I'm going to whop up them soon as well. And I realized they are trying to avoid to keep Concacaf what they call it, Concacaf what?
Yes,
Council?
the council.
Yes, the
Yeah.
councilmans them, the councilmen, them disappeared. Nothing I've heard. Yeah, so
No, I
I would say it goes both way. That means everything is up in the air because anytime United States go outside, they ain't performing either. All right.
I think to me it comes down to I think for Canada they need a trophy. Right. And I said that at the end of after the World Cup year, I said they need a trophy. They either have to win Nations League or they need to win the Gold Cup. They made the finals of Nations League. They lost to the Gold Cup in the quarters. So I think Canada needs something to open up this conversation. And quite frankly, another team needs something. If Panama had won the Gold Cup, I would have said, okay, I'm watching you now. My eyebrows are raised. We're here. So, but I think Canada has earned respect from a lot of teams because it's a new coach and they're able to do this so quickly. I think they need a trophy. This third place game, I've gone back and forth with people. I am in a minority where I say I want them to rotate the squad. Because ultimately to me, I want to see how these players react to top competition. This coach
Okay.
I think is going to switch up his. I think this coach, it's very possible that he can have maybe 5 to 6 new players come in for the September window. So
Okay.
confirm that for me. That's how I would do it. I'm not the coach, as some people have eloquently told me, or not eloquently told me. But I would love to see them kind of go through. Major problem in Jamaica is hubris. I don't disagree. Everyone's going to be confident. I think it is going to be very interesting to see when you get humbled how you react to that. Moving off of that,
Well,
Canada's earned a lot.
they just quiet for a small short span until four
Mhm.
of their friends come together and they are back again at it. So they ain't stopping. Big up yourself, football fan. Then massive respect. Thanks for being here. How are
Yeah.
you feeling for the England versus Spain? Yeah.
Yes, let's talk about that as we go through these comments. Umzo with the comment true. All right, Jamaica. Well, I like their unis. I like their old ones. I don't like their new ones. I like that. I like the classic look. The classic look from there. Yes, MLS having a box off league is poor. It doesn't build competition. I'm curious to see what the USL promotion relegation will look like if that can actually work. And we'll go from there. Actual turf sucks. I do agree. So is
Well, you
synthetic
have to take
grass.
what you have.
So USA is just Mexico kryptonite. It's the one. The USA, their biggest wins have been against Mexico. That's the highest ranked team.
Yes.
Other than that, it's Iran. So I think that's kind of
Because
where it goes.
to be honest, you can't even say Panama so much, because
Mm.
majority of the time of lately Panama meets United States. They are the one beating United States. I can't understand what I'm seeing. So how is it Panama so good? They beat everybody. Only Canada they don't beat so often, right?
They like the thing with Panama is at World Cup qualifiers. I know that's the Alfonso Dino goal. That game was Panama's. Panama had that game until that moment.
Okay.
We were 60 minutes in, and they were just passing the air out of that game. And then Alfonso just went for a big run. And then once he scored that, then we just said 2. We'll take 3. We'll take 4. And then that was it. But Panama matches up better with us, I
Okay.
think, than people realize. They're a solid side. When we beat them at Nations League, I don't think it was tactics per se, just David and Davey scored. And that's kind of where it went there. Don't agree with that, mate. I think you're explaining later, so I won't say on that there. But if you have already explained, let me
JD
know.
Dog says JD ate the US. Jesus God. Every week they add an next 8 to my thing, Oh my God. I need to call up Kendrick because I need to learn to eat a little bit better, Yes. Oh, Africans, come on! I'm talking to the
It's a
community.
safe space, JP. I want it to be a safe space.
Well, why you get these commenters if you want me to remain?
JD, you know what I realized? That anytime someone beats a Canadian team this year, their Twitter, their Instagram is just gonna say
Being
not like
like
us. And I am not
It's
emotionally ready. Argentina did that. I was like, I don't like you guys anymore. Messi is no longer my goat.
The problem is, it's your boy, the boy.
We tried.
People. He's the one tormenting people. So they had to make him know, relax.
Aubrey, why?
That you're playing
Why?
Argentina. Don't get ahead of yourself.
I
You're
can't.
not like us. All right.
Winning a trophy shows growth. I like that take. Agreed. Okay, JD's dog. What is this? We've been asking the same thing, Chris. We've been asking the same thing. All right. What do you mean, Oris? I think Umzo, we'll see. Okay, so England straight, 100%. We have that. Okay, Chris there. And then Canada are gradually improving. Reaching semifinals is a fantastic achievement at this stage. I do agree it's a fantastic achievement. But in order to they are where they are in CONCACAF, for my opinion. So I think if they want to
But
push,
I
they
think
gotta win.
Fanden is just watching the Copa and basing it off the Copa, but he doesn't understand that you are from the country, you know everything about all the other tournaments. And Fanden is correct based on the overall project. He is correct, it's not an arguable situation. He is correct.
There we go. And then so Jamaica should have at least 3 large football stadiums with seating capacity of 15,000.
I think Jamaica might have 3 stadiums with 15,000. They have 3 stadiums. Michael, we have 3 stadiums with over 15,000, man. Yes, man, we have 3 stadiums. We had one in Mobile that is how much? That is around 25,000. The national, not are 20, 15, 18,000 or something like that. The national stadium is 35,000. And I think we have one more Trelawney Stadium. Trelawney Stadium, I know that you guys said it's not in good condition, but it should be over more than 10,000 seaters, don't? So I think it's close to 15,000 as well. So in technically we're supposed to have 3 stadiums, Africans, but I don't know if they are all in operational state. All right, but technically I am close to correct.
JJ's trying to split hairs and move blades of grass aside.
It's
okay.
There, but working, I am not sure. All right.
DVB says Panama is trash and basically all CONCACAF is. I think they're improving, but the standard changes everywhere. So we go. I don't think relegation approach can work in the U.S. The clubs in the U.S. don't have grassroots sports history like other countries. Colleges have that foundation, and that's fine. But I think the best way that they can get to a open system is a hybrid system where you have, because I think the USL could do their best bet would be if they had the USL as an entry point, but then the only drawback would be if you're an MLS side, you'd have to stop expansion, period, which the closed system means you only make money with expansion. So anytime a new club comes in, it's what, 500 mil, 800 mil just to come in expansion fees. That's where you make your money at the gate. The only way that could work is if you said we're capping the teams where they are. You're opening up the system. However, there's a mechanism that's built in that basically says if you're an MLS side, if you get relegated, you can only get, say, relegated to the USL's championship or their premier side, but no lower. That would be the only way that a team would agree with it. But now, and that's a hybrid sense. But then if you're a USL side or anywhere else in the pyramid, you could conceivably grow your way all the way to the top. You grow your way all the way to that league and go. But then you keep that in that MLS. The MLS side, you'd say, you guys going to go down that layer. I think that's something that they should try in Canada, for example, because the League One teams versus the Premier League Ones are semi-pro. The infrastructure, again, is a problem. But if you told CPL teams, hey, if you get relegated, you're just going down to, they wouldn't like it, there's no doubt. You're only going down to League One Ontario or League One Canada or what have you. You'd go there. But then the other League One teams could grow all the way through. I think that would open the door. I think you would still need a league in between. And I think that's where the conversation would have. That's why, like with the USL, you have the 3 tiers of the USL. You need somewhere where they can sit. But because they don't have the infrastructure, you need a layer where there's enough infrastructure funding where they can improve that so that when they start to play the 15 to 18 to 25,000 seat stadiums, they can at least be like, okay, we can get up to about 15. So then we can at least make some of that gate back as you go. But I think that's really your best bet to go through. Be specific. You mean the egg shape? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're speaking of, Chris, but we're just going to move off of that. I do agree with you. Oh, nameless one. It is a safe space.
Africans will reach 2 hours. Oh my God, we are going on.
And we were comfortably doing it. Yes.
Yeah,
All
that's what I realized. The show, man. We need more support on the show. You guys need to turn this into a solid show. We need to start getting the subscription over Africans up and running. We need to get it to 1,000. Stop what you're doing and go and support Africans program. Let me try and get the link over here. I've shared the link everywhere. I've not shared this video, none at all, and I've shared Africans video everywhere. So just please click on the link and subscribe. So maybe like the next 4 or 5 series, we are going to put it over there only, exclusive to that only. So if you miss it, you miss the show. All right? Yes.
That's true. Jason saying there's one stadium and a few cow pastures. Well, at least the cows can pasture. You know, they can pasteurize. Good for them. That's why a culture needs to be built in the community by community, like other places in the world. MLS running their league like the NBA is not working to the game on an elite level. And I think that's the reality of it. Because if you allow people, the thing, it's not the romanticization of just, hey, you have a team that goes through and they can build. It's the reality of access. That's where the problem becomes. Because if you are an athlete or you are a player who can, say, get into a team, and then in 3 years, maybe you're playing at a high level, you share the possibility of actual funding. You share the possibility of actual income coming in. If only franchises can do so, you're cutting that off from the lower levels and the grassroots. And I think that's something that you miss with the franchise model. I know they've gotten better. I think Canada, for example, for the CPL, my next thing is having professionalized academies where players can go versus just that. We're still in that approach, and I think they can try to it, but we'll see how it goes. All right, U.S. tried the league approach in the 70s and it failed. The franchise approach allows them to control the finances. Agreed. That's why they want to do it. Same in Australia, Granty says as well. Fandom says, I'm a bit nervous for England game. I haven't been nervous about any games since Bolton reached the League Cup final. That's fair. So you're more nervous here than in 2021 when it was England versus Italy. You're more nervous today than you were before. Is it just because it's Italy or is it just because it's another final? Let us know. I agree with you. Though the franchise approach put a cap on how good MLS teams can be because they aim for parity, and that's true. There is no consequence for being poor, right? And that is something that most people don't want, and that is not in North American sports. They're not used to it. That's not a franchise that they're familiar with. Maybe they'll be introduced to it. I think there's a possibility that it's something like college American football could go to that route if they get enough teams to have 2 tiers and then having teams moving from tier to other tier and seeing how it goes. But I don't think we'll be able to see it go through. There you go, JG. And the once game doesn't have one veiled truth. Sadler, where's Don Frasher that tells us we don't have good Bermuda grass? I miss that.
Yeah, Dan Frasser. Oh my God, I've not heard from Dan Frasser the longest time, but sometimes these things can be too challenging, as you said. People in different countries, they can't bother to get up every day finding a next reason to be Kendrick. Does he eat everything? You get me? No, it's not every day you want to get up like that. So some people will just try to stay as far as possible from it, Yeah.
Agreed. Michael Sadler says that's true as well. I'll like up the show. There's my link, guys. Make sure you go there. No nerves prior to last. I asked that as well. So thank you, Jason, for bringing that up. Don't let Spain score first. They will pass the sleep. Yeah, it's possible. It is very much possible.
And score as well, not just pass it to sleep. You're going to concede a few because that's the difference with England. They have been conceding first, but every time they push back, they score. Once Spain score on them and they push back, they're going to concede more. Not one more. Yeah.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yes.
Do you guys think hiring an MLS coach is bad for the national team? Who's the coach?
And which team you're talking? The USA team or the Jamaica team? Because he just asked how much they would pay him for Jamaica team. I told him vibes into that different spelling. So if you want to come and coach Jamaica, just have some good vibes.
Yes, more follow-up. I don't think it's a bad choice. Because if we look at Canada's choice, any coach or any team, I think any coach who's if you told Jamaican fans right now, you can get Wilfred Nancy from Columbus Crew, Are you guys saying no? Because Jason and I are on that wavelength today, right? But that's the thing. If you say, right, okay, but there's MLS coach, like there's good coaches in different leagues. Not every coach, and the thing with the national team you have to remember is you don't have the same length that you have a club for, right? And so,
Yeah.
hey, hey,
I'm telling him,
vibes two
from the other
different.
day, they kind of inject the venom in me, you know. Yeah, man, I'm giving them all the sauce, you know. Yes, sorry.
I
Yeah.
think any coach you bring in has to realize you are working in a very, and I think that's something where Burhalter failed. To me, Burhalter, it's not. I think that not that he failed. I think he struggled because a national team, and this is where I think John Herdman is a better national team coach than he is a club coach because he can extract a lot in a short period of time and then build off of that. When you have the same message over the same time over, I think that gets lost. I think that's why maybe he's struggling a bit at TFC. Also, I think TFC is a mess. That's a whole other conversation. But I think Herdman is a better short period coach where Berhalter is a club mindset that tried to bring it in. I think that's what cost them ultimately because he tried to play a style and tried to implement the style and try to get that style going always. And that took too long, I think, and took away. You could see when how the US played, it was very much pattern. It was moving up, moving left, out the sides, middle, wide, crosses, going in, and where you have a player. That's why Pepe was a better 9 for them than say Florian, where Florian is a better Balogun is a better 9 in the transition. So if they're going to sit in the mid block, try to pressure that way, I think that's ultimately where it kind of comes through. So I think who the coach is matters. That ultimately comes down to it. And if they understand we're only going to have you a period of time, like if I'm not even crazily saying this because I think he would fail here. But like again, a Herdman style coach is a better national team coach, in my opinion, because he's been able to extract more in short periods of time. If an MLS coach can do that, that's great. But I think there's a lot of different coaches. That's why I think most coaches, they'll look for that youth level first because it's like, okay, they have a group for a short period of time and some there. Biello for Canada is to me, he's a better assistant coach than he is a coach, and that is fine. But I think ultimately, MLS level won't affect you. Can you put out on paper what you need to happen in a short period of time, and can you get it done? Can you simplify the game enough for your players to play freely but understand the responsibilities? Or is everything going to be so structured that it goes goalie to center back to central defensive midfielder, central midfielder to advancing fullback to dual eights to wingers, overlap run by fullbacks, ball put out wide, ball crossed in, someone gets at the end of it. That's Greg Berhalter's system in a nutshell. Every day, that's what's coming, unless he prepares for a team. So that's kind of where it is. So I think if you can get the most out of it, let's go. We've been here for 2 hours, guys. I could probably go for 3, but I'm not going to because JD would like to sleep at some point.
Yes, yeah,
So let's get through these comments and go, and we'll wrap
we
it
have
up
to show
after.
some respect to the program so people
Indeed.
can return next week and we will jump back everything again. Clearly, the
Okay.
show is going longer and longer. It's like a 2-hour show now, so maybe we will start to reap the support from it because we definitely put as much work in it, and I think these are the contents you guys can and should support. It actually brings you back, especially my Jamaican people. It keeps us grounded. All right. Yes. At least when you get the venom of the excitement, adrenaline, this is a show to bring you back down to the what's going on in the rest of the world, Yes. Yeah.
All right.
I put that in the best way possible
Yes.
without getting any beaten.
Fan Den saying just because feeling that their luck will run out. Well, I thought their luck will run out the entire tournament, and it's still running. So I don't. You have it. I'm gonna no fair, and that's fair as well. Okay, I think they get a new coach with the Concacaf international experience. That could be good. I will say this, guys: an interesting coach who can squeeze out Hugo Perez, call the man. Call if someone who knows CONCACAF and could squeeze the most out of a generation can recruit well, even if it's just North America. Get Hugo Perez as the Jamaican national coach. I'll put that there. Hervé Renard. I think that's a decent consolation. That's a realistic up for the U.S. I think. I don't know if he comes to Jamaica because I mean Saudi Arabia had oil money. What Jamaica's going to promise them? What I don't know, but we'll see. That's a good name that's floating out there. So we'll go there. South America experience. There's the comments. Stop sleeping. Okay, Jason. Okay. What does speed mean when
nobody
he says
sleeps
enough?
on YouTube more than Jason. Nobody at all. I don't think you have one other soul than Jason sleeps on YouTube. He's the only human being that sleeps on YouTube. At this point, YouTube should just give him his just to deserve. Yes. Anyways, I saw just said, what does if Africans are past that comment because
Okay,
the only one for me you passed it, African. Oh my god, right now you like Africans don't want me to speak. African has in person. All right, let me skip out what does speed means by he has enough contacts. He has enough contacts in football. That's what the man says. So what else he could mean? That's what he means. You know, I don't know what level of contacts they are, and I don't know. These guys, I'm telling you. They sleep on too much YouTube. That is their big problem. All right, they actually start believing their hype. All of them. Jason and him friend them. Mr. Speed, Jason and him friend them. All of them are the same thing. Right though. Maybe in different part. Jason are the same thing. My YouTube, Mr. Speed are the same thing at JFF. So the one of them are the same thing. They don't sleep on YouTube. So them start just lose their minds. I tell people about them have the biggest.
Jason, if there's a bed, I just want a pillow. If there's a bed offer, give me I just need a pillow. For I realized as I've said that what I've just done. So it's on YouTube. I regret saying that, but yeah. Sheets. I can't say that on a Jamaican stream because then they'll come for me. Okay.
Africans, these guys they don't know much they are feeling Jamaican for their own greed, you know. They are some selfish human beings, you know, man. Over the years I've been here, they are just multiplying the amount of fake ass people. I'm telling you, I'm tired of them, man. Every day they bring some new metrics, selling the Jamaican people, and these people are eating it.
All right, Grim saying national anthem with passion.
JD's too angry. This is the place to be nice to everyone. Oh my God, some might not be nice. Even now, curse or Jason. Even now, cuss some just cuss him out. Yes, because I'm. Africans, right. You know, it's a safe space. I'm not going to say anything. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I just want to see Jamaica win games, Africans. I'm tired of sleeping on YouTube.
JD, it's taken a lot from you. Okay. It's taken a lot from you. I understand.
I don't know. Please, God, let Suriname start win some games. Or Haiti start win some big games. So I can focus on Nigeria.
JD, they're not. JD, you had hope for the first two. You know what, JD? You know what happened? You know what happened to me, JD? I was talking. I was like, I had a conversation where I was like, they brought Tani to the national team, and I was having a conversation with someone, and I was like, it's not that I don't want him on the side. I just feel like he could prove well, but maybe, and he's definitely performed well. I mean, unfortunately, like against Argentina, he finished like a Nigerian striker, which was just missing the target overall. But I felt like it was just like, what? Why is that so simple for me? Why does it just flow through? And then I was like, do I really hate them? And I was like, no. I realized where the anger comes from, and that'll be for another stream. But I will tell you where the anger comes from. It comes from people who can't. JD, this rivalry has reached church, and I just imagine, JD, you just want to go to church, get a sermon, go home, and they come to you and say, hey, our food is better than you. I'm like, I'm trying to pray. How is this going to put me at peace? And from that moment, JD, the anger recame. So 4 years ago, that's where it started. We were at peace. There was peace in Canada, in my soul, and then they started talking about food while I was trying to pray. And then life turned. Interestingly.
Yeah, but man. At this point, Africans, I'm telling you, I know where my happiness is gonna come. I'm just gonna become fake like everybody else, you know. Mm-hmm. Just look a job in at the JFF, and sell 2 players for Jamaica because I'm in Europe. I have all the connections in the world to just like Mr. Speed can call anybody and just
I
sell
was
2 players, and
I
then I'm
was
happy.
going.
I don't care about Jamaica after this. I don't even care if Jamaica win nothing and just sell 2 players. That's what I need to start doing. And then people will give me more respect. Then I will be a part of the clique of the the clique of the.
I
I
was
don't
gonna
have a
say
name for it.
I was gonna say a specific country, but then if I said that country, it would have connected me to a specific person. As I was thinking, that I was like, so I can't say that country, but let's just say, um, no, I'll enjoy my malt drink
You,
later.
you're the
So
one.
we'll just
You're the one in the chat. Connections around the world. Nothing around the world. Balls around the world.
no,
But connection around the world. Balls around the world and do your job. That's what runs the world. But connection runs the world. So you just want to know people to get where you want to go. What about getting where you want to go? How people
we
can
we
change their
we
life, man?
we have now realized that the breaking point for any stream is
It's two
clearly
hours.
2 hours. Once you pass 2 hours, it's just like
It's stress.
JD breaks down. JD's just like,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
holding it, and then he's just like, I'm tired. I
Yeah.
want to go to bed.
No, I know. I'm Africans. I have 10 sensible more minutes left in me. Yes. I can't believe this man out here talking about connection. Oh my God. I'm tired of it. Africans, some people that knows the truth. And they're just fueling the madhouse to continue with the madness because they enjoy the excitement of the madness. Like they just cock up them foot in their set sofa Africans and they watch all of the people just behave mad and just laugh. Sometimes I believe that Jason and those guys, that's what they're doing. They just sit down in their houses and laugh and say, Lord God. You know?
But guys, it's been a good time. It's been a good conversation. We're always gonna have something either on a Thursday or a Friday. We did Friday this week, but
Yeah,
we're
but
gonna
it's
try to
normal
going
Thursday.
through, which is good. But guys, Copa this weekend, Euros on finals as well.
And
Then you have
people,
U20s.
please, anytime we set this show, avoid all Jamaican streams. They are not going to tell you nothing sensible until me talk on this stream. So you make sure for that one day, avoid every news from Jamaica because Jamaica have a bag of news when it make no sense. And you come here and watch this stream for that one day. They can go back and do whatever they want to do for the rest of the week. All right? Yes. So this is going to be the truth and the vibration of the Rastaman JD's dog.
Of the dog of going. I was about to come and give you with the views and opinions expressed of JD are those of only JD who do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions
But
of
I never
the
said
Africans
anything bad.
FC Change. So guys,
We're just
enjoy.
making the show. We're just sending out our title for that one show. Hell no. What? So you're not going to avoid every show for that day and watch this one show, Mr. Trace. Every day you want the drama. You don't want the real authentic stuff, not the cocoa juice steroid pumped in a vein. Oh my God. Michael, the Africans kind of restrict me from answering questions, so oh Lord, God.
What?
Oh my God. Yeah, Africans, the commenters, them start losing it after 2 hours. All right, JD needs to focus on feeding his dog. Oh my God.
This is just pack of nonsense, and I'm just here being like, I'm gonna pretend like I don't understand what's happening. Be like, oh wow, who is JD dog? What does it mean? No, we're not
I
going 3 hours. I
Africans, how
am
can we
hungry.
find out? Where we have to search where these people coming from because I honestly believe that this is tactical fake account. JD's dog is tactical fake account. We need to find out where we are right. So tactical fake. Oh my God! Hear this name. Let me type in this name. Africans. I
Oh boy.
knew it. This just only behave like tactical. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is nah. I'm just a guy that enjoys the look here. Tactical manager. It me while oh my God. Let me not read
I
it.
don't know what's happening. I came to talk about wing with central defenders and nine. I don't know what's happening.
All right, I forgot we need to go. It's not working
See,
out.
you
It's going
debut
from bad
one
to
new
worse.
intro. You see, you debut one new intro, and now life is here.
I just
This is what I
copied it.
get.
I just copied what the channel said, but
Maybe
I was.
this is a safe space. Everyone who feels affected by this, I do apologize for you. But yeah, we came here to talk football, and we've passed 2 hours. And once we pass 2 hours, life is gone. It's just gone.
All right, JD, dog, take care of yourself, Mr. J. Onzo, I don't know what's going on, but life is not working out well. After the tour, man, you know.
JD needs some sleep. Okay, some sleep.
But it's the applicants, it's not me. I don't know. I type in the name of JD's dog, and oh, ironic, it's Tactical Manager. Something pop up there, you know.
All right, guys. Thank you again. If you're watching this back, I hope you enjoy whatever that you watch there. It's gonna be great. But guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. We appreciate you for coming by. And until next time, we'll be here next week talking probably post Euros and Copa. I hope it doesn't come home not just for the memes. But then we have U20s to talk about, U20 championships to talk about in CONCACAF. So we'll talk about that. Olympics starting up as well. So guys, we'll have a lot to talk about. But until next time, thank you for stopping by. Take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the good football out there. Enjoy the good weather if you have it. Rebuild if you need to rebuild. And until next time, guys, we'll just say bye-bye for now.